Hello and welcome back. My name is Micheal and I am a spiritual life coach and wannabe spiritual teacher. Today's topic is something near and dear to my heart. It's something that's been in popular demand and something that I've been fascinated with since I was a child: reincarnation. So in today's video, we will talk about past lives, past life regressions, life between lives, near-death experiences, and some discussion of the afterlife. I'll give a little background on reincarnation, and I'll also talk about my personal past life regression story, or at least one of them. And of course, I'm always going to give you tons of book recommendations. And if what we're talking about is something that you're really interested in, something you want to know more about, then you'll probably just want to go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I'll be covering a lot more pretty cool content like this. Okay, let's just go ahead and jump right into the video. Okay, so the Wikipedia definition of reincarnation is also known as rebirth or transmitigation. It is the philosophical or religious concept that the non-physical essence of a living being begins a new life in a different physical form or body after biological death. There are quite a bit of religions that believe in reincarnation, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly to you. Hinduism being the most widely known. There are many Hindu predominant tribes or cities where it is completely normal to recall your past life or past lives, and it isn't so taboo there. But in the US, there has been a lot of promising research. There are investigators who will take a child's memory of a past life and then fact check the claims of the child to see if those memories line up with actual people. If you want to watch a great series that includes reincarnation, near-death experiences, and much more, then check out Surviving Death on Netflix. The reincarnation topic is on episode 6, and it goes through a past life investigator. His name is Dr. Jim Tucker. He also did an interview with NPR, and I will link both the show and the interview with NPR in the description below. But he talks about really super convincing cases. But the goal of this episode is not to convince you whether or not to believe in reincarnation. You can do your own research and figure out if that's something that fits into your belief system or something that has enough proof for you to believe. I don't know whether it's real or not, but I know that there are huge mental health benefits to doing past life regressions. In Dr. Brian Weiss's book, Many Lives, Many Masters, he explains how he got into past life regression in the first place. Dr. Weiss is a very logical and analytical person, but he had a patient who had a debilitating fear of like water, being choked, even being afraid of the dark. He wasn't having any luck with like traditional therapy, so he started to suggest hypnosis. And he regularly used hypnosis for patients that had phobias. So she agreed, and he ended up regressing her back, and they went back to an early time in her childhood and actually found out that her father had molested her at 3. So Dr. Weiss thought that they had found the solution to this problem. He thought, okay, we found this reason. So that explains the fear of the dark, also the choking, because he ended up like putting his hand over her mouth. But normally when it comes to hypnosis, once you find the memory of what's triggering the phobias, then your symptoms will actually start to dissipate and actually like disappear. But her symptoms persisted. So Dr. Weiss tried again. He tried to see, okay, maybe is there something that we missed? So he sends her back into hypnosis, and he said, go back to a time where your symptoms first arose. And it surprised him that she ended up regressing back to a life in 1863 BC. But she had experienced a traumatic death by a tidal wave and flooding, hence her fear of water. But he could not believe what he was hearing. It took him a long time and a lot of research to come around to the fact that Past life regression may be a real thing. Reincarnation may be a real thing, or at least they are real to the people experiencing them. But once she regressed to multiple different past lives, her symptoms did actually disappear. But based on practitioners and clients of past life regression therapy, this is an extremely effective method if you're plagued by chronic irrational anxiety, phobias, and sometimes even like reoccurring triggering like traumatic nightmares. One thing that I personally experience is a fear that someone's going to break into my house at night and kill me while I'm sleeping. I feel like it's connected to a past life, but who knows? I haven't regressed to that life if that's the case yet. Anyways, according to Dr. Weiss and many other past life regressionists, you have many lives on Earth and sometimes other planets. Souls travel in groups, so your friends and family have probably been with you in your soul group for a really long time. We choose our location, our family, our position in that family, our body, and the lessons that we'll learn. We all chose to come here and be here right now. I personally think that reincarnation is not only a cure for the fear of death, but also gives your life so much more purpose. Like if you chose to be here, that's purpose in and of itself. And learning lessons, that's your purpose. You're here to learn lessons. And it makes your relationship so much more meaningful knowing that you've had this connection with someone for possibly like thousands of lifetimes. But Earth is considered one of the most difficult and dense places to incarnate on. And yes, there are other planets to which you can incarnate on, but the reason that you chose to come to Earth is because it's like accelerated learning. Coming to Earth is like taking 3 summer courses or more in college. Like hard classes, not the easy ones. But the goal in reincarnation is to learn those hard lessons in a rapid manner and ascend back to the source of all creation, which we all came from. In this theory, we are the universe or source experiencing itself through us. We are all connected in this way, and we individually come together to create a greater whole. Although it is said, if you don't learn your lessons when you were supposed to learn them in this life, you have to come back and do it again as many times as it takes to learn the lesson. Also, if you did something to really hurt someone, you could be coming back and the tables might be turned and you're the one getting hurt. And that's just a balancing of the karmic scales. There's also no need for fear and punishment when it comes to the afterlife. From numerous NDE stories and also life between lives regression, there is a thorough life review where the ascended masters will review the life that you just lived and see what lessons you learned, where you didn't learn, and which areas you can improve on. But it's not like they're judging you. They want to help with the highest love and light. Their goal is also to ascend, so they want to help us as much as they can. So you do your life review. Sometimes you recover and relax in that in-between buffer zone, and sometimes you go straight back into the field, but you get to decide when you come back. I've known about reincarnation since I was little because my mom was a very open, hip chick and she was really interested in reincarnation. But I grew up in a Christian church, not because my mom went, but because I had cousins that I was really close with that had a big church community, and I would go with them like all the time. I liked the actual church and, sometimes the people in the church, but Christianity brought me so much anxiety and fear. I'm already kind of like a high-strung person, so I was worried that every time I had a bad thought and that I would be struck down any minute, smited, because I had one bad thought right before I died and I would go to hell. So as I got older, I struggled more and more with this. The idea that I felt like I had to be perfect for God to love me. On top of my perfectionism, I was also questioning a lot of the teachings. I didn't like that they made people feel bad just for being people. You're born a sinner. They basically tell you as soon as you're born, you're no good. And would you look at a brand new baby and say you're a worthless sinner that will never live up to the standards of God? I doubt it. I know now that any teachings that bring fear are probably not in your highest good. But I wanted to be like Enoch so bad. And if you don't know the story of Enoch, he was someone that was so close to God that he was able to walk with God, and he didn't actually ever physically die. He basically just like dematerialized straight into heaven because God was like, come on, homie. You're hanging out with me. But I wanted to be that close to God, and the Christian God is so far away, feels so separate from you and who you are. It's just a personal opinion. If you get down with Christianity and that's your thing, keep doing it. I'm not trying to say anything bad. I'm just explaining my experience. I think Christianity is good for a lot of people, so do whatever is best for you. Okay, let's actually get into the story now. Okay, I had 2 separate past life experiences or past life regressions. One that I did through like a guided meditation on YouTube, which I'll link if I can find, but I also had one performed by Dr. Davina Kotulski. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but she's out of LA. I found out about Dr. Davina actually from another YouTuber, Sky Life. I will link that video in the description as well. And if you want to schedule a link with Dr. Davina, I also put the link in the description. But I'm only going to talk about the professionally guided one because the other guided meditation that I did on my own, the regression, like that life was actually pretty boring. So I'm not gonna talk about that one. But if you guys really want to know, then I'll do another video. Okay, so my story starts and I'm looking down at my shoes. I was wearing tan boots and I was on a dirt path, and there was forest or jungle on either side of me. I was wearing a backpack and I was like equipped with survival gear. I actually had a knife at my side, like on my pants. It was there for like a quick pull. Like if I needed to pull and stab something, it was there. I was 30 years old or around that. I was an Indian woman, not Native American, but I was kind of outfitted like Tomb Raider, but without the over-sexualization. I had black hair and brown eyes. It was a really hot climate. I was alone at this point, but I felt really hyper aware or hyper vigilant of everything that was going on around me. I go into the forest looking for something to eat. At this point, Dr. Davina asked me what kinds of things am I trying to find to eat, and I blankly and very abruptly said, animals, which if you know me, this is kind of out of character because I normally don't eat very much meat. But then I go to the stream and I realize this is a place of serenity and solitude, and this is actually my happy place, is being here in the forest, in the jungle, alone. Dr. Davina then regressed me back in time to another time in this woman's life. And the first thing that I noticed is I'm wearing a white dress. I'm young, probably around 10 or 11, but like everything is dirt. Like the whole village is dirt. The floor is dirt, but I'm in the desert in a house made of dirt, kind of like these houses. I live in the Middle East, maybe Iraq, but I wasn't exactly sure where. I was sitting on the floor of my parents' house. My dad was cooking something to eat over the fire. My mom and dad were fighting about something. I knew that my mom was scared because my dad had pissed somebody off that was high up in the village, and somebody that had a lot of power, and they didn't like being disrespected. So my mom said that he would get our whole family killed for what he did. My dad wasn't that worried about it, or like didn't seem that worried about it. But then suddenly the bad men are coming. They're coming to kill my father. They break into our hut, grab my mom, they drag her out by her hair. I kept thinking that she had the prettiest hair, and I just like wish they wouldn't drag her by it. They took my mom away. I don't know where she went. And they pulled my dad out into the street, threw him on his knees. They force him to his knees, and he looks over at me and he's crying. And he says, "I'm so sorry, and that I will be okay." I feel sad and scared at this point, knowing that this is the last time that I'll ever see my family again. I start crying during the regression. I'm crying in the life, but I'm also in like a lot of shock. It's happening really, really fast. The men shot my father in the head right in front of me and in front of the entire village. The villagers just stared at me with pity, but didn't help. And then Dr. Davina instructed me to go forward to the next day. And I was actually in one of my neighbor's huts, and she was an elderly woman that lived alone. And she taught me how to take care of myself, how to survive on my own. Dr. Davina asked me what my name was, and I actually said Rima, And then I was like, no, it's Arima.
Arima? Arima. An A.
So no joke, I just looked this up for this video and found this. Arima is of Islamic and Muslim origin and means love, according to 2 people from India. So hopefully that's enough, but this is enough for me. But I don't know anyone named Arima. I don't know very many Indian names. I'm not like up to date with Indian culture. I mean, no way. That blew my mind. Anyway, so my neighbor taught me how to live and how to survive, but I think at some point I either just like left the village by choice or was cast out, because Dr. Davina moved me to another significant point in my life, and I was back in the forest being a hardcore survival woman. And the first thing that I said when I went forward was, this doesn't make any sense. I think I killed a tiger.
Doesn't make sense. I think I killed a tiger.
I was back in the forest and the tiger was dead in front of me. It had tried to attack me, but I was able to stab it and kill it. And I said, I can't believe I've gotten to this point. And Dr. Davina said, what, that you killed something? And I said, no, that I could kill something that was that much bigger than me. Like, I guess I wish I could have gone back and like protected my family the way that I had protected myself from that tiger. It seemed that everything in my life had led to this specific moment, and I was like crying. I was crying in the past life and also like in my present body. Then Dr. Davina moved me to my last day as Arima. I filmed myself at yet another stream. I was laying looking at the stream. My arm was stretched out and I could see my hand laying in the water in front of me. Blood was dripping out of my mouth as I lay near the creek, and I had been attacked by a man. At this point, I was in my 50s. She tried to get me to identify the man, but I couldn't. I said he's very attractive and he must have been like a travel companion or something. But I had no idea why he killed me, and I was actually really distressed by that. I was just so confused and felt very betrayed. But I also felt so relieved to be dying. I know that sounds crazy, but that life was hard. My every day was about surviving. Every day was like, okay, just make it to the next day. Just make it to the next day. And living that way is really taxing. And I was completely alone for most of it. And I was so ready for it to be over. Dr. Davina asked me if I had any regrets. I said, no way. All right, that's the story. It's pretty exciting, pretty cool. I mean, like, not very many people killed tigers in their past life regressions, so pretty neat. Could be symbolism, I don't know. So a couple footnotes from the regression. One thing was I wasn't actually able to pin down a time period, so that was a little disappointing, but it's okay. So my mother as Arima is actually my sister in this life, and my father as Arima is actually Caleb, my husband, in this life. So I did do a small bit of research, and there are forests and deserts in the Middle East around Iraq, and there were tigers in Iraq in the 19th century. Whether or not you believe this is totally up to you. I respect your opinion, I respect your beliefs, but it is a great story. I really hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to share your past life regression story in the comments, please feel free to do that. That would be super cool. And if you enjoyed any of this or are interested in this content, go ahead and subscribe, and don't forget to like the video as well. And I'll see you next week. Have a magical and wonderful week.